I've been involved in classic car restoration for a number of years now, and the one thing I've always found really sad is the fact that so many potentially brilliant projects end up started but never finished. They're left abandoned under tarpaulins and on axle stands simply to rust in peace. So I've decided to put my own restoration projects on hold for the time being, and over the next 12 months my mission is to help inspire and motivate some other enthusiasts to actually achieve their restoration dreams. 5 very different projects, all with fixed deadlines, and the clock's ticking. Coming up, amateur racing driver Steve Russell has a rather special wreck lying in a lockup that needs major restoration.
Such as it is.
Steve's dream is to turn this pile of junk into a 1950s Formula Junior racing car.
This is a piece of history sitting here that needs to be out doing its stuff. We can actually revive something and deserves to be driven.
But he's got just 10 months to get the car restored and ready to race in a prestigious historic Grand Prix in France. Pau has been hosting major races since 1930. If Steve makes the tight deadline, he'll compete the car against a top international grid on one of the most dangerous race circuits in the world. Great ambition, tough challenge, big question. Is he up to it? I'm at Donington Park to meet Steve and to find out more about his restoration project. It's such a brilliant atmosphere in a pit lane, though. You do have to keep your eyes around you because there are cars everywhere, but the sound and the smell is just brilliant. I'm looking for a bloke called Steve Russell. 37-year-old Steve, a successful businessman, has been a lifelong motorsport enthusiast and now, as an amateur, owns and drives this state-of-the-art Porsche race car. Good?
Very good.
Yeah. Although addicted to modern motorsport, his dream is to follow in the footsteps of drivers from a different era. So your car that you're actually doing there?
Yes.
Is a classic, it's an icon.
It is, yeah it is. It's a 1959 piece of history. It's a bit of a long project because we're building it from absolutely nothing, so it's, but we'll get there.
So it's actually in bits then?
It's in bits and it's a chassis and boxes of stuff.
A couple of days later I catch up with Steve back home to take a look at his pride and joy. It's like this, and look at you. This rare wreck has been lying here in bits since Steve paid, wait for it, $9.5 grand to be its proud new owner.
This is it.
With the car in it. Oh my God! When you said it was in bits, you weren't joking, were you?
That's bits.
I thought at least it might be kind of, you know, the main thing together, but just a few components.
No, we've got bits.
It is truly bits. So, is it all here?
Pretty much.
Or so he thinks. Truth is, he's not really sure. Right, there's only one way to find out. Is this a remould?
This is a remould, yeah.
These parts haven't seen daylight for a very long time. Who knows when they were last on a racetrack? Now it's starting to look like one of those world speed record cars, isn't it?
Okay, so these are the rear moulds.
Okay, so you could make...
We could remake an entire body, basically. We don't have the middle section, but we could make the front nose cone and the rear tail.
Oh yeah, brilliant. All this may look like junk, and in reality it is, but every part we pick up is a piece of motorsport history. Because that is iconic of those 50s race cars.
It is, yeah, exactly right.
And it's just stunning.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful from behind. Although you may never have heard of Elva, in the 1950s it was a big name in British motorsport. The company produced highly competitive race cars from its small factories in East Sussex. Steve's dream is to completely restore and race one of the cars that was hand-built 50 years ago by this lot.
I think this was born to be a race car. It doesn't look very race car-like at the moment, and I think it deserves to be on a track. And for me, the excitement is bringing that, as you see it now, to the track. That's what I want to do.
Rescuing this wreck is sure to prove a huge challenge in itself, but Steve's also determined to win races in it, which his wife Geraldine thinks he's certainly capable of. So is he a good driver? Does he win much?
He has done, yeah. Do you want to see some of the trophies?
Oh, the trophy cabinet.
Not a trophy cabinet, no.
No, but it's getting that way, I bet.
Well, they're here until they go into the garage. 4 lots of coming third.
Third is pretty good. That's
Third
podium.
isn't bad, yeah.
How many were in the race?
Oh, goodness me.
More than 3, though.
Yeah, definitely more
Good.
than 3. 20
That's
odd.
very impressive. Steve can certainly drive, but how good is he at fixing things? Honestly, though, how confident are you that he's got what it takes mechanically to be able to do it?
I mean,
what does he around the house? Does he fix things, mend things, do the decorating?
No.
Okay,
No
fair
to
enough.
all of those.
Fortunately, his mate Pete, an airline pilot, has offered to help. He's got relevant experience, but this project will prove to be a big challenge for everyone.
Every turn, it seems, we just find another problem.
First job is to move all the bits to a bigger garage owned by another friend. Simon, the third member of the team, has restored historic race cars for many years. Between them, in theory, they should have all the skills necessary to get this wreck back on the racetrack. They have a plan of sorts, so they say, in their heads, and a budget to blow of, wait for it, 20 grand. Simon, how you doing? Nice to see you. And it's your place, this?
Yeah, this is my place.
Lovely workshop, I have to say. So, do you guys have kind of specialities particularly in terms of helping out, or are you both good engineers as well?
Simon's much more engineering based. I mean, he'll solve problems from scratch, whereas I go and buy the bits and somebody else will solve the problem and I can fit the bits. So, I mean, Simon's going to be great when we find a bracket that doesn't fit.
How do you make parts in here? The answer is you don't. Try next door.
I put the old carpet in
You've got to see this. Absolutely amazing. And self-taught?
Oh yeah, all self-taught, yes.
Okay, so you've proven your ability. That's good. We've sorted that out.
So that's
then.
why he's here.
Yes, you've got a good mentor. That's all.
Exactly
all I can say. That is amazing. So what's the plan then with this? Now you've got it here. I mean, obviously this thing is going to need to be blasted and presumably painted or powder coated. But how do you know it's square and it's not been pranged and all that kind of stuff?
The first thing is, as you say, to blast it, to sandblast it, bead blast it, and then you can really have a look and check to see if all the tubes are good. But they look good.
Are there any bits that you know now that are already kind of ringing alarm bells in your head that this could be a problem?
There's one major one. It's called a drop box. It fits just at the back there. The prop shaft comes out.
Well, so down here?
Down there, yeah. The prop shaft. In order to get the driver low enough, they had to run the prop shaft just above the floor. Unfortunately, the diff when it's mounted at the back there is quite high, by about 8 inches.
Right.
So they've invented this marvellous little box which has just got 3 gears in it. And the drive from the gearbox goes into the bottom one and it comes out the top.
So it's just a transfer box?
Yes, that's all it is, except that they don't make them anymore. And we've got to try and find, well, certainly the specs of one, or get somebody to make it, or there might even be one around somewhere.
We know there's only really, from our experience so far, only maybe half a dozen are actively racing in the UK.
So this could be quite tricky then to find, and certainly could hold you up, presumably, in terms of if you can't get one or find the bits.
Yes, the thing would be to find. We've just got to find one.
Easier said than done. The drop box they need is unique to this car and incredibly rare. Problem number 1, and I doubt it'll be the last. Cufflinks off, give them to the boys, roll your sleeves up and get stuck in. All right, and I will be back to check on progress and to make sure there are oil stains all over that pink shirt. All right, guys? Well, they may be the dream team, but 3 blokes in a relatively small workshop around a very small car. It could all turn into a nightmare. Restoring a wreck is a much bigger challenge than most people anticipate. That's one of the reasons so few succeed and so many projects end up abandoned to rust in peace. What a waste! So I'm on a mission to help motivate some other enthusiasts to actually achieve their restoration dreams. people like motorsport mad Steve Russell, whose driving ambition is to compete in a historic Grand Prix in just 10 months' time. Problem is, he doesn't have a classic racing car. Well, not yet anyway, because currently it's just a pile of bits. And that's how it'll remain unless friends Simon and Pete can help him turn 9.5 grand's worth of rare junk into one of these. An iconic 1950s Elva 100.
All of these, son.
Just a few weeks into the project, the boys discover some serious issues with the space frame chassis.
The problem we had, we tried to marry up the engine earlier and found that it was the mounts were basically set too far forward. And we've had to cut these off. Simon's cut these off and refabricated new mounts further back. And you can see that's the original distance. These were set in here, basically. And it's quite a significant difference, of course.
So now, get the engine in, check it all lines up.
Believe me, making new brackets like these is very fiddly and time-consuming. If they're not in precisely the right place, days will have been wasted.
Yeah.
Unexpected problems like this can really slow down a restoration project.
Hammer. Again, small one.
With a bit of gentle persuasion, the engine and gearbox drop in perfectly.
There you go.
Yay.
In. Lovely.
The boys appear laid back, but it's a huge relief. The next job is to fit the rest of the transmission.
Where does it go?
The prop shaft connects the gearbox to a unique component on the Elva called the drop box.
Fine.
It's missing, and as rare as hen's teeth. The boys are desperate to find one. Quickly. Pete has been online whenever possible, looking worldwide for a suitable drop box. Today he makes a breakthrough and after weeks of fruitless searching discovers someone selling some rare Elva 100 spares. 24 hours later and Steve is en route to collect the drop box. Problem is, it means a 1,400-mile round trip to Switzerland. The seller says the drop box is from an Elva 100, but there's no knowing what condition it's in.
I found some more odds and sods. I presume it's Elva.
And then Steve spots something.
This is the key part. We were
It's the key part, yeah.
lost with that.
Sorted. As well as the elusive drop box, Steve's also coming home with a few other bits they need, but at a price. 1,500 quid. Next day, back in Simon's garage, the boys check the condition of the drop box.
Yeah, I mean, the gears look...
Gears look very good.
They look
They're
brand
new.
new.
They are brand new, yeah. I'm almost certain that the bearings are brand new, so the mechanics of it are fine. It looks like it work a treat.
We could not have gone any further without it, so we were just delighted to get it, and fingers crossed it's going to do the job for us. But I guess we'll find out now if the sizing is right, and etc.
At last, the boys can carry on fitting the transmission.
Right. Okay.
But at the moment, it's safe. There you go.
Job done. Well, not quite.
It's not lining up correctly.
Okay.
The drop box is lined up almost correctly with the mounting points. There is still a gap between the differential here and the diff casing, and it's large enough for me to actually put my finger in.
The gap can't stay. We can't have a gap. It should fit flat.
Yes.
Simon reckons he can solve the problem by milling the diff case to close the gap.
If I reduce that by about 1/4 of an inch further down, that will then bring the whole of the differential casing further forward in the car, which is what we're wanting to do. If I mess this up, I think finding another one would be quite difficult.
It's precise work. If he gets it wrong, they can all kiss goodbye to seeing Steve race the car in France.
Let's see how this one goes then. Pick up. Okay, so there you go. Well, he's cleared it, so we're all right there. It's a lot further forward. So we have managed to move the whole assembly forward by 1/4 of an inch.
That's pretty good, actually.
Nice one, Simon. Meanwhile, I suggest Steve sorts the bodywork ASAP.
We're on our way to drop the moulds off to the body shop chap that Simon knows.
Luckily, Steve has the original moulds, but are they in good enough condition to make perfect new panels?
So this piece goes onto there?
Correct, that's the full nose cone. Exactly that. In 2 halves. And then these 2.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah. Terrible moulds. It's a good job you're spraying it, I tell you.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have a lot of work to do.
Okay. Well, that's
a finished piece when it comes out.
That's what we're hoping it's going to look like.
I think it's time I had a closer look at this Elva beauty. Robin Lackford, a keen Elva enthusiast, engineer and driver, has agreed to show me just why these cars are so iconic. Shame about the weather, though. Robin!
Hello, Mark.
How are you doing?
All right.
You're damp, mate. Bet you're glad you're out of that, aren't you?
Yeah, just a bit.
What does it feel like, though, when you're driving it?
It's alive, completely alive. You're in the car and you're just part of the car. It's totally alive, and in the wet it's really, really slippery, but in the dry it's just as the same, but only faster.
When did you first see him?
When I was about that big. It's like a schoolboy dream, isn't it? You draw pictures of them and you always want one.
So an all fiberglass body.
Yep.
And doesn't that look tiny?
Yeah.
So that's a mini engine.
Yeah, it is. BMC A series. Different cam, ported, polished, lightened, balanced.
So just to get as much oomph out of that 1000cc unit as you possibly could.
A lot of people, when they first get into an Elva, desperately come into a corner and try to find the brake pedal and think that the brake pedal's rock hard. They're actually pushing the cover on the starter motor.
It's fairly
disconcerting.
That'll be very disconcerting as a wall comes
hairy.
closer and closer to you, isn't it? Right, and in top gear, that'll be doing what? How many revs?
In top gear, this will pull 8,500, so that'll be doing 8,500 because it's direct drive
through. It is stunning, though. I mean, the more you look at it, the more you just think what a beautiful, beautiful car it is.
Oh, yeah, it is.
It's gorgeous.
I suppose you'd like to go, wouldn't you?
Can you read my mind that easily?
Yeah.
Hold on, I'll be 2 ticks. Given the opportunity to drive an Elva, it doesn't take me long to get ready. I'll tell you what, I thought you were a brave man to be driving in the wet.
Yeah.
You're a braver man to be letting me have a go in your pride and joy.
No, everybody tells me I'm stupid.
No, brave, not stupid.
There's a lot of gear crunching going on up there. And there's a lot of revs. Oh, that was first.
Oops, must be some oil on the track. Here we go! That was absolutely, thanks mate, absolutely incredible.
Did you enjoy it?
Brilliant, brilliant.
Don't worry, I'll pick up the bits later.
The sensation of knowing you got that prop shaft rotating under your nuts, you know, 5,000–6,000 revs. Oh God, I love it. You're not having it back.
No, well, I'm sorry, but do you want to arm wrestle me for it?
It's been an amazing day, this. What a treat to be able to drive an Elva 100 for the very, very first time. The difficult thing now that I have to get my head round is that all I can see in Steve's garage is a big pile of bits. And to be honest, I can't imagine he could ever make that pile of bits look as beautiful as this. Hate to say told you so, but back in Simon's garage, the boys are
Did we
stuck.
know that originally, or did we think the axle, the whole
They've
thing
been
was gonna
working
be
on the
usable
car
glass?
for 3 months, but it's still in bits.
We did get the hubs from it, which
Because they're finding it nearly impossible to source some of the missing parts, Simon's having to spend precious time remaking them. It's put the project plan weeks behind.
I went into this not really understanding the true complexity of what a car build was really about. It should have been what we believe maybe in the early stages was more of a collect parts together and assemble. And that's not what it's been. It's actually been a manufacturing exercise as much as anything else. I think that I'm impatient.
if we'd found the bits early, we would be a lot further along.
At every turn, it seems, we just find another problem. And it was meant to be a big Meccano kit, put it all together, there we go, what a great car. It's turning out to be a lot more difficult than that though. We've
got parts that are unique to Elva that they took the trouble to construct and make unique to the car, which therefore we're struggling to get right now, and if we have to replicate them, we'll struggle. Elva kind of doesn't really exist. It's a mix of maybe yet to be discovered 2 or 3 other different cars that have an involvement in it.
I reckon at least some of the boys' questions could be answered if I can track down anyone who worked in the Elva factory back in the 1950s. It's a long shot, but I know where to start looking, and it's going to mean a trip to the seaside. Fantastic! Next time, I head off to Sussex to find out more about Elva's amazing history. Does this still anything like it look? There's like an office there.
Yeah, that's how it was. That was the office.
And the team work frantically to make up lost time as their deadline, the historic Grand Prix in France, looms ever larger. Are you confident that you're going to be able to get this done?
Ultimately, we will do whatever we can to make that happen.